Hey guys, welcome to the next ministry video. This is the winds of change. I thought it was fitting because it's actually very windy out here today. So I decided to talk about the winds of change. I'm brought back to a time where I remember it was a rainy day actually. And during this rainy day, it was so windy and I had an umbrella, and I remember I was trying hard to push into that wind, and it was so difficult to move forward. And I remember I was holding on to that umbrella, and that umbrella flipped inside out on me and started to pull me, and I was like, oh my God. I managed to get it back to where it was supposed to. But this is an example of what life looks like when you're trying to push into the very thing in which you're called to do. You can be pushing forward, pushing to get to that thing, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's your career, maybe it's your ministry, maybe it's your marriage, maybe it's your whatever it is that is your desire at the time. But you're pushing to get into it, and no matter how hard you push, it pushes back. And it tries to bring about a form of doubt, fear, frustration, and it sweeps you up. Try to snatch you out of place. And you feel like you can't fight that wave of doubt, fear, and frustration. But you keep going because you have to keep fighting. You have to keep pushing. Because these winds are hard. But you have to keep moving forward because you have to reach your final goal, your final destination, where it is that you truly were trying to get to. It feels like you're moving one step forward or 2 steps forward and being pushed 10 steps back because the wind is so strong. We've been fasting. We've been praying. We've been consecrating, which is also fasting. We've been sowing. We've been pressing in and stretching. But it feels like you're stuck in a trench and you're just being pressed. But all we can do is press in, press back, pray, praise, and push. Pray until something happens. Whenever you don't stop moving, you may have to change direction. You may have to move into the wind. But sometimes it's just a crazy simple situation where the foolish things confound the wise. Press into the wind, and God will breathe in the shift. In some seasons, it feels like you can't get to where you're trying to go, but you're pressing in. You're pushing. You're fighting. You're pressing. You press, push, press, push, and it feels like you're not getting nowhere. And the more that you press in, the closer you get to the thing, and walking into that wind that you really need. Sometimes it feels like that wind is sweeping you around, and it feels like you ended up right back at the same place that you started. Didn't I just go through this cycle? It looks like I'm in a different place. Maybe I'm in a different area of the city, but I'm still in this same cycle. Why? I feel like I can't get past this one point. You pray, you press, you fast, you consecrate, you keep doing the steps. Why am I still fighting this wall? Seems like you're right there and your finances start acting up, and you're like, what the heck is this? Seems like the opportunity is right there, and you can't be a part of it. It seems like all you need is the favor of XYZ person, and you can't get it. Why? Because it's God's move. It's God's shift. God sending the wind. For it says when the storm comes, you're supposed to walk. You're supposed to get out the boat. Peter got out the boat and he started to walk towards Jesus, but he started to pay attention to the wind, because the wind started to kick up. And when he started to beg for the Lord to help him, he was only one step away. A lot of us are one step away from the breakthrough we're looking at, but the fact of the matter is the wind is kicked up. The wind kicked up, and you're like, which way do I go? What am I doing? Lord, I need you to tell me which step I need to take, because if you don't tell me which step I need to take, I'm not taking no steps, because God, I done came too far to fall now. So we ain't taking no steps without you. What is this? Nuh-uh. We ain't doing that. What is that? So you got to keep going. But it's hard when you're that close. And it becomes annoying because people will say, you're that close. I was literally listening to a ministry yesterday. Like, you're that close. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. And one of my favorite ministers, she released a word that was called, you're closer to your miracle than you think. And you're like, when you're in a windstorm, you're like, I don't care how close I am, just take me there, because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of all this wind. I'm sick of all of this storm. I'm sick of all of this confusion. I'm sick of being tired. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of all of it. Just take it, and I'll get to where I'm going. And I hear a lot of the ministers that I listen to, the ones that are honest, the Christians that are going through it for their little ministries. And it's not a little ministry. Every one of us has a ministry that is worthy. It's just we're in the beginning stage, so it seems little to us, but it's big. The impact that it will make by the time it becomes what it's become, we're just in seed form. And they be like, bump all this. I don't need all this. I don't need this. I don't need that. You can take it. You can keep it. The fight for it ain't worth it. Some people out there waiting for their marriages, and it's like, when am I fighting? Oh my God, why is this fight so hard? Why is these wins hard? But because if you actually marry the person that you should be married to, I'm talking about the one that you should be married to, not some Satan's agent. Go back and look at the video I talked about. You got to marry the right person. When you marry the person you're supposed to marry, excuse me when I say the one you're supposed to marry, your ministry is going to take off, because everything that you were being fought so hard to get done is going to run. And it's going to run so smoothly, you're going to be like, wait, what? I've been fighting like hell to get this thing done, and now it's working. Because sometimes you need your partner to help you, and you help them. And together, where your blind spots are, they can see. Where their blind spots are, you can see. And when you walk together, they can help you up and you can help them up. Because you're anointed to be with each other. You can see each other's flaws. You can see each other's hurts. And you're perfect for each other. Even though sometimes you'd be looking at each other like, are you sure, God? And God will place two people that it looks like there is no way that you two should be together. And externally to the rest of the world, everybody will be looking at you like that. You okay? Especially the one that's in a better circumstance. They're looking at you like, we know you have access to better people than that. You having a midlife crisis? Are you alright? And the other person, they're looking, that person's people are coming at them like, are you sure they ain't using you? Are you sure they are? You sure they are? You sure? Is there a reason why it was you? And then you gotta look at them and like, I ain't good enough? This is what you really feel about me? I'm just giving you examples. I ain't even talking about me. If it hits your household, but it hits your household. But my point is, when it's for you, it's the hardest. Them wins, when you get close to it, when you're in the wind, when you're in the Kairos season, when all things are coming together and stepping into the fullness of the alignment of what it's supposed to be, that's when the wind gets hardest. And you're like, shouldn't it be getting easier? Because I'm almost there. Which reminds me of a quick little story of a woman, and I've told this before, probably not here though. I heard a pastor tell this story once. And in the story, he said, was a woman who was running a triathlon. 27 miles. You gotta run, you gotta bike, and then you get to the end of that and you have to swim those last, I forget, 8 or 9 miles. You gotta swim. Well, it's 9 miles. Well, guess what? She got all the way to 26 miles. A fog rolled in. She could not see which way she was going. And she got intimidated and afraid. And when that happened, she stopped. And because she stopped, she didn't get to where she was trying to go. She raised her flag and said, I'm done. And when she raised her flag and said, I'm done, that's when it became visible that she was 1 mile away from the finish line. Don't give up now. You're probably only 1 mile from the finish line. A lot of us are. That's why the devil is so angry, and he's trying to spin us around to get us disoriented so that we can't see the end of what it is that we have been standing for. We're almost there. We're almost there. We are actually closer than we think. We just got to hold on just a little bit longer. I'm going to leave you with this. A minister I also listened to was in a storm a few days ago, and her plane ended up being delayed. She was in the storm. She had to meet another plane in order to get her to her destination and get home. They ran into the storm. They had to do an emergency landing. They did the emergency landing, but they were at risk for losing the ability to meet the other flight because they needed to fuel up and meet the other flight. She prayed on the flight, I can't stay here overnight. I'm not staying in the airport overnight. So she told the Lord, I don't stay here at the airport overnight. Let my other flight be delayed just enough time that by the time that we get this plane fueled up and get to where we're supposed to go, the plane will be ready to go. And wouldn't you know, she prayed that prayer, and that is exactly what happened. The plane was fueled up in just enough time that they were able to miss the storm and were able to get to where they needed to go. And she met her other flight and got home a little bit later than she expected, but she got to go home and didn't have to spend the night at the airport hotel. Sometimes it feels like the Lord is holding you in a holding pattern. Sometimes that delay, that reroute, that thing that you're sitting there looking at, it feels like, why the heck is this taking so long? The truth is, it's not so much that it's taking so long. It's the fact that God knows the proper timing, even though to you, you're like, oh my God, I'm like right here. Why can't I go? I had an incident a couple of days ago. Did you really just do that? That close? That close. And still saying the same thing. You're that close. I'm like, maybe that was a physical manifestation of how close I was, because that person was that close. And I'm like, really? Really, God? I'm not telling you what, and I'm speaking in circles for a reason. Yeah, let me tell you how close it was. It was about 36 minutes. 36 minutes. That's how close. And I'm looking like, what? It's closer than you think. So I believe you with that. You may not understand what I just said, but I believe you with that. The winds of change are blowing. You're close. Hold on a little bit longer. Until next time, this is Taj McCameron. Bye-bye.